This movie is not meant for everybody. I think this movie has a lot of stuff that could disturb audiences. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is RCD Movie Reviews. My name is Oliver the Brain Cat, and today I'm going to review the latest black comedy / exotic psychological thriller film, Saltburn. This movie is directed by Emerald Fennell, who directed Promising Young Woman, and this movie stars Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Alison Oliver, Archie Madekwe, Carey Mulligan, and Richard E. Grant. Struggling to find his place at Oxford University, student Oliver Quick finds himself drawn into the world of a charming Felix Cadden, who invites him to Saltburn, his eccentric family's sprawling estate, for a summer never to be forgotten. So when it comes to Emerald Fennell, I have not seen any of her films. Yes, Promising Young Woman, I still have it on Blu-ray, I still haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I am intending to see that film after this film because, yeah, for my first film that Emerald Fennell has directed, this is not a bad start. I went into this movie very, very blind, not knowing anything about the movie, and I gotta say, guys, I just want to say first of all, this movie is not meant for everybody. I think this movie has a lot of stuff that could disturb audiences, which we'll get back to that later, but in my opinion, I thought this is a very creative and artsy film that has some really intense moments and also some very disturbing things happening that I was fairly entertained from this movie from start to finish. And that is all thanks to Emerald Fennell's direction with this film, because she looks like she knows what she is doing when it comes to filmmaking. She takes a lot of risks. She pushes boundaries in a good way. Basically, she's like, you know what? I'm going to put whatever I want in my film, and people have to experience it, and I appreciate that about Emerald Fennell. When it comes to the cinematography in Saltburn, it looks incredible. There are some beautiful shots in this film that actually blew my mind, surprisingly. Even the aspect ratio adds a bit of an artsy feel to it, and I really do like the filmmaking aspects in Saltburn. Also, the cast in this movie, especially Barry Keoghan. He is fantastic in this film because I'm not a huge fan of this actor, to be honest with you, except to when it comes to this film. He is fantastic in this film because, without spoiling it, because this is a very twisted film, you don't know if you should root for him or not root for him. There are some parts in this movie that you like him and you hate him. And Barry Keoghan plays that role very, very well in this film. He has a great chemistry with Jacob Elordi in the film, which I also think he's fantastic in this film. Which I'm actually very interested to see him as Elvis and Priscilla. I heard really good things about him in that movie. So for the first movie I'm seeing Jacob Elordi in, I haven't seen the Kissing Booth movies, I thought he does a very good job in this movie. And the rest of the cast in this movie, from Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Archie Madekwe from Gran Turismo, another great role for him in this film. He is great in this film. Even Alison Oliver, I have not seen her in a film before. She is also fantastic in this film. With also Carey Mulligan, who is returned for a Promising Young Woman. She's actually really good in this movie as well. The cast in the movie is fantastic. But I just gotta say, the story of this movie. Like I said before, Saltburn is not a film for everybody, because this is a very twisted, sexual, psychological thriller. There are going to be scenes in Saltburn that might disturb a lot of people. And I'm not going to lie, there are disturbing scenes for me. But in a weird way, I was very entertained by it because I appreciate Emerald Fennell for taking risks and pushing boundaries. It turns out that this film has a lot of risks and turns, and I appreciate that about this film. Yes, there are some gross scenes, there are some really intense moments in this film, but it kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Because every single scene in Saltburn, I was honestly very invested in. It keeps giving you questions like, what's going to happen next? Because this film has a great sense of storytelling and direction. Even though there are some weird scenes in this movie, it does work for me. Is it a movie that I'll definitely rewatch straight after? No, because I'm not gonna lie. There are some scenes in the movie where I'm like, I don't know if I want to rewatch that. But it's a good way because this movie gives me a lot of attention. It gets you invested from start to finish, and the story has a lot of boundaries, and it's a very twisted film, non-stop twists, and the twists are actually really well done in the film. It turns out ways that I wasn't expecting. I would say my biggest flaw, in my opinion, with Saltburn is actually the third act, because that's where the movie kind of drags a little bit. This film has a lot of third acts, in my opinion, the way I see it. It does drag a lot. There are moments in the film where I'm like, okay, is this where the film's gonna end? Nope, it's gonna keep going right there. Not to say it's boring or anything, it's just very slow. It's definitely very paced out until we get to the actual thing that happened at the end where I'm like, okay, the film does pick back up. So like I said, guys, some people might hate this film, some people like this film. This is not a film for everybody. It's not like Beau was Afraid in a way, but overall, guys, Saltburn, I was intrigued by this film, and for my first experience with Emerald Fennell, I cannot wait to see what she does next. I thought the cast was really good. The story is very twisted. It's sexual. It's a very intense thriller film that has a lot of twists throughout. Like I said, it's not a film for everybody. There are some really gross scenes. There are some disturbing scenes as well that it's hard to watch at a couple of times, but I do appreciate that about Saltburn. This does feel like a theater experience for me, and I'm interested if this movie goes into the Oscars because I think there are some Oscar nominations I think this film deserves with costume design, with cinematography, and even Best Director Emerald Fennell because I think she does a great job directing this movie. I'm going to give Saltburn an A-. I know, this is a year for A-s this year. How many films have I been giving A-s this year? I know. I'm starting to hate that rating too, but that's just the truth. That's why I would give this film. If it wasn't for that third act, I would have gave it a higher grade. So guys, that is my review for Saltburn. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments below. Do you like the film, hate the film, or you thought it's okay? Just let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel for my latest movie reviews and movie-related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.